Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. It is Wednesday, the 11th of October, 2023, and what a perfect day to talk about Algorand. Now, we haven't made an Algorand video in a little while. I think the last Algorand video that we did actually covered the recent announcement that the new algo kit will enable developers to build with Python, pure Python, which is a big deal. You know, the largest pool of developers, coders, is Python essentially, or TypeScript. And essentially, they will now be able to build on top of Algorand. And actually, you need to make a blockchain easy to use for users, and you need to make it easy to build upon for developers. And Algorand are doing a very good job of that. But really, what inspired me to make today's video was something someone tagged me in on Twitter. And shout out to the Algo Batman. Essentially, tagged me in this clip, and this is a clip of Stacy Warden, the CEO of the Algorand Foundation, who we're going to be diving into in this video, actually talking about the Algorand Bank of Italy partnership and why it's so significant. And actually, we're going to be revisiting that and really just going over again actually why this is such a big deal, because the Bank of Italy play a substantial role in the sort of monetary policy of Europe. We know that Europe recently, or one of the agencies that's basically tasked with markets, the Securities and Market Authority, the ESMA, actually published a paper today on DeFi. Europe seems to be a lot more friendly with crypto and a lot more willing to want to regulate it than the likes of the United States. We know that Algorand has suffered massively at the hands of Gary Gensler. I mean, unfortunately, Algorand was literally mentioned in pretty much every single lawsuit that was brought forward against exchanges, the Bittrex one, the Coinbase one, and the Binance one, whereas many of the other altcoins weren't mentioned as zealously. But is that zealousness to deter and sort of turn retail off of Algorand? Or is that, you know, genuine? That's a question that I always have. So what I want to do, guys, is dive into this clip. And I believe this clip was from The Next Block, which is an Algorand-specific podcast. We'll leave a link to it in the description. I couldn't actually find the full video, but we will leave a link to their podcast. Great podcast from what I've seen and what I've heard. But this clip was interesting. And what I want to do before we get into what we have to go over in this video is just dive straight into this clip.
A lot of people want to know about the Bank of Italy and how they're using Algorand. So we didn't really get to that part when we mentioned it, but
Yeah.
what is the Bank of Italy doing?
Okay, so the Bank of Italy has the responsibility for the European system. So the ECB gives how can I put this? It gives different pieces. It gives out different jobs to the national banks of various different countries, right? And so the Bank of Italy is in charge of the TIPS wholesale euro payments rails. So they operate this on behalf of the European the ECB, and it settles about $1 trillion a day. I mean, it's really, and it's mostly kind of on the back of bond trades. So the idea that you want to try to get to in bond markets is if you can tokenize the bond and tokenize the currency and have an on-chain currency and an tokenized bond, you can settle atomically immediately. And that has a number of very important implications. The first of which is that bond market participants don't have to hold collateral, because you always need to hold collateral against settlement risk, right? And so if you can have atomic settlement, you're taking a lot of collateral out of the system, meaning another way of saying that is you're taking a lot of risk out of the system. Right. So that is the project. And we have been invited to participate in that project and do a pilot with them and try to see how that would work.
Pretty substantial. I think a lot of people really underestimated the fact that Algorand has been chosen to do that. You know, we are moving to a world where it's absolutely my belief everything is going to be run on distributed ledgers. And it's a very positive sign that Algorand have been chosen by an institution so central to Europe's sort of monetary system, that obviously has custodian over a large amount of capital, or sort of provenance over a large amount of capital. Let's go back before we dive into Stacy herself, somebody that's very accredited, to the announcement. So Algorand chosen as a public blockchain to support digital guarantees platform in Italy. Algorand Incorporated, a world leader in layer 1 blockchain technology, has been selected to be the public blockchain that will support an innovative digital guarantees platform in Italy. The company today joined the Bank of Italy and the Italian insurance authorities, along with more than 30, and people always miss this out, 30 financial institutions at an event in Milan to illustrate how banks and insurance guarantees can be issued on digital ledger technologies, also known as blockchains. The event, hosted by the CETIF, the Research Center for Technologies, Innovation and Finance of the Catholic University of Milan, will introduce presentations and live technology demonstrations as part of a 3-day forum. Advisory has been leading an ecosystemic effort to develop a blockchain-based open digital securities platform that will serve the needs of the Italian banking and insurance markets. The new platform is expected to become operational in early 2023 and will be the first time an EU member state enables the use of blockchain technology for banks and insurance guarantees. Algorand is the only public blockchain that the digital securities platform uses. It is expected that a significant percent of the Bank of Insurance guarantees will leverage digital ledger technology as part of Italy's Nation Recovery and Resilience Plan. The EU allocated roughly 200 billion euros to Italy, the largest allocation made to any country, to be used for co-grants, wow, and co-loans as part of the EU recovery plan. The EU launched the program considered to be the most significant stimulus package in Europe's history to boost economic recovery following the something 19 crisis. Blockchain is ideally suited to these types of programs, given the technology's ability to provide fast, efficient, low-cost, and scalable transactions. Even more importantly, digital ledgers help protect against fraud, a known challenge with banks and institutions. We selected Algorand because its unparalleled level of innovation and security among permissionless distributed ledger technologies, as well as because of its leadership in sustainability. Very interesting. We are proud and honored to be the public blockchain chosen by the digital security platform in Italy. This is, of course, from Silvio. Silvio is someone, whenever we talk about Algorand, we often talk about Silvio Micali because he is a Turing Award winner. He is somebody that is a absolute pioneer of the cryptography space and actually created things, like zero knowledges, was very early to work on that sort of stuff. Just somebody who is nothing short of a genius. Let's move on. So the individual that was actually talking in that clip is a woman called Stacy Warden, who is the CEO of the Algorand Foundation. Now, let's take a little look into Stacy's background. So right now, she's the CEO of the Algorand Foundation. She's on the board of Global Blockchain Business Council, and she has a number of other things going on in regards to fintech. So right now, she is the Chief Executive Officer of the Algorand Foundation. Prior to that, she was in the Milken Institute, which is extremely a well-established institute within Washington and the United States. Prior to that, she was the executive director at JP Morgan. Then she was the director at the NASDAQ and the international economist, the US Department of the Treasury. And we can go back even further. This is someone who is extremely accredited in the financial space and actually would have lightly brushed shoulders with many regulators. And that brings me back to my comment at the start of the video that perhaps it's on purpose why Algorand is getting such harsh treatment from Gensler. Certainly, as we've seen previous clips of Gensler come out and actually say that he likes Algorand, his colleague Silvio, he's mentioned a number of times. Why is it that they've come out so harshly? And people always say, okay, well, why does Algorand's token benefit from this? Well, Algorand is a proof of stake, a pure proof of stake blockchain. And if you understand Algorand, which comes from two words, algorithmic randomness, which is where Algorand gets his security from, actually, the token is, without the token, there's not really a consensus. And the whole concept is that you stake your tokens to a delegator, and essentially that delegator is chosen at random, and the token is a fundamental part of the security of the blockchain. And as that security becomes more and more needed, i.e. with what we're likely going to see over the coming years, which is the tokenization of everything, and Algorand, I think, is going to capture some of that. Not all of it, but some. It's going to be one of the potential winners, certainly with the partnerships they already have. The value of the token is going to be directly correlated with that, we believe. And the more and more users we get organically with DeFi and building, you know, it all kind of comes full circle. So that's really all we've got for you in this video, guys. Just an interesting one. We know that the price action is nothing short of horrific. Algorand is my worst performing crypto. We've been buying crypto since the start of the year. Some of them doing okay. Of course, Bitcoin certainly bottomed at the start of the year, but something like Algorand continues to get smashed. We will turn around eventually. Exactly when, I'm unsure, if I'm being honest. But there are brighter days ahead, I believe, for Algorand holders. It's just a case of weathering the storm that has largely been escalated with a real sort of negligence towards regulatory clarity. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. If you've enjoyed this content, a like is appreciated, so is a comment, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next.